Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Starcraft 2 England cast. Now I am actually buzzing about the game I have got for you, and I'm going to tease you a little bit more, and if we switch over to the game cam, you will see that we have got an amazing matchup today. It is LiquidSheth versus GoSuSonKiE. Now these are two top-notch players. GoSuSonKiE is an amazing player, and so is LiquidSheth, so I am really looking forward to this matchup. Now the map is going to be Tildrim Altar, so a very big macro map, obviously in cross positions as well, so it's going to be fantastic. I'm buzzing for this game. Words can't describe how excited I am. And anyway, totally forgot, LiquidSheth is going to be the blue Zerg up in the top left hand corner, and SonKiE is the red Terran in the bottom right. And straight away SonKiE is moving out one of his SCVs. It'll be interesting to see what he does. He's just going to go for the wall off, so no crazy command center first build from SonKiE as of yet. Again, Sheth is just going for a very standard, no early pulls or anything like that. I mean, that would be pretty crazy on this map because of the huge rush distance, and not to mention the fact no easy way to scout. I mean, SonKiE could be spawned at any one of these positions, and the chance of him getting the scout off is, well, 1 in 3. And if he's wrong, then obviously it delays any kind of early pull rush so late that it becomes extremely ineffective. So we're almost certainly going to see a macro game going off. And now we are going to see a barracks first build, so not a command center first build. And again, very safe. To be honest, I've seen a lot of Terran players go for a command center first because you can wall off here with a command center. You can get that economy going straight away because it's almost guaranteed that a Zerg player will take a 15 hatch as Sheth is doing now. And that 15 hatch on this map is safe as safe can be. I mean, it's incredibly easy to do. I mean, it'll be interesting to see when Sheth gets the pool. It'll most probably be 16. Obviously, a 15 hatch, 16 pool means that the pool finishes just as the hatch finishes. You can get both of your queens out at exactly the same time, which means that obviously your injects are synced up. And that just makes things a little easier to deal with. And we have got a scouting SCV coming out. Won't scout the right way quite yet, but that doesn't really matter. A Marine is on its way, and straight away in orbit command, no gas being taken out yet. So this is a real big telltale sign. The no gas probably means that he's not going to rush into reactor Hellions or anything like that. Just going to get the command center out super quickly. And there is one Marine there positioned up, so I would almost guarantee we'll see a command center. And there we go, the command center is on its way down now for SonKiE. So really, this is where Sheth can get a bit of problems because there's no easy third to take for a Zerg player. Obviously, the rock's covering the natural third, and then you either have to take a third out of position or a long way away. Those are really your only two options in which to take it, neither of which are very safe to do. Obviously, with Hellions, with even Marine play, Marines can be very effective if you've got very out of position bases. You can just do pokes and prods, but nonetheless, I mean, we probably will see Sheth go for a bit of an aggressive stance at this point in the game. May just drone up, get some tech, but everything's very safe. A bunker now going down for SonKiE, so he is going to be prepared for any aggression pretty damn well. Obviously, no wall off though, because this is a very large area. We may see a wall off get built eventually, probably with barracks, supply depot, etc. Both gas are now taken for SonKiE as well, so we could see some tech come out pretty quickly. It will be interesting to see. He's moving that barracks back. And we are going to see some Zerglings come in now, and these Zerglings not going to be able to do any damage at all because obviously the bunker is up very happily. 3 Marines within the bunker will very quickly deal with those Zerglings. They won't be able to do anything at all. The Zerglings will survive though, but they've got a scout off. They know the command center's down. A reactor is now actually on its way for the barracks, and the factory is down as well, so we're almost certainly going to see reactor Hellions. I mean, well, we are going to see reactor Hellions, and those reactor Hellions could actually be quite effective now because the spine crawler was cancelled, but obviously speed will be out well before the reactor Hellions hit. Sheth's going to be in a good position, but still, he doesn't have a third base easy to take, and that really is the problem he's got. Now these Zerglings just poking around, making sure there's no 3 command center build going on, and that is actually something you can do. It's a bit of a greedy Terran build, but it can be effective. You just get 3 command centers really early. Obviously, they can morph it into an orbital command, use it for the mules and SCV production while they take out the rocks, and then just float it over, which really is very effective. It's also easy to defend, and as long as Sheth doesn't go for too much aggression, it's fine. Now Sheth wisely taking a macro hatch because he can't get that third base out too quickly, and we're getting his starport down as well, so we may actually see a Hellion drop. Now, a Hellion drop would be fantastic. I do believe the Hellions were scouted though, because he did. Sheth has got some Zerglings in there. Sorry, I had a mind freeze there. Those Zerglings in will obviously see the Hellions, and that will be a bit of a giveaway. The Roach Warren is on its way down now, along with an Evolution Chamber as well. So Spore Callers will be able to get down. There's a couple of Overlords out of position, and that Starport being used now for those Vikings. A Tech Lab coming down as well as another factory, so we'll see a transition into tanks pretty quickly. Meanwhile, 4 Hellions are coming out. There's no Spine Crawler yet at all. Some Roaches could just pop in time, but I don't think they will manage to get out. Obviously, the Zerglings are going to go and take down those rocks in order to be able to do some damage, but the Hellions are coming around, and I mean, those Zerglings are going to be lined up pretty badly. Those Hellions are going to do a lot of damage. Sheth won't be able to move them, and he is going to get them pulled back, but not before he's taken some losses, and you don't want to be taking losses. He needs every single one of those Zerglings if he does want to be able to deal with these Hellions effectively. Actually getting out some Roaches, and 3 Roaches will be able to deal with 4 Hellions very, very easy, especially because of the partial wall off here. I mean, with the Queens, he can wall that off. Those Hellions aren't going to do any damage at all in this time. I mean, they can loop around, but all while the Roaches are there, there's going to be nothing. And the Zerglings are going to come running by, and we are going to see Blue Flame come down. So this is going to be a mech play now by GoSuSonKiE, and I like mech builds, especially on a map like this where you're going to be able to get the economy up quite easily. It's going to take a long time for the Zerg player to get across the map to do any damage to you, but actually quite a lot of damage being done by these Zerglings. It's going to force all of the SCVs and mules to be pulled off, and that's never a position you want to be in. But the Hellions are back now. Obviously, they don't have Blue Flame as of yet, but they are going to be able to snipe down a couple of these. Obviously, the reactor there, and more Hellions in there as well now. Now, the Hellions are being loaded up into this medevac, so we are going to see a Hellion drop. Not going to be too effective, though, because a lot of Roaches are coming out now. And, again, these rocks still aren't down, so still no third base for LiquidSheth. This Viking is going to be just scouting, picking off any Overlords it can, and really a single Viking, if you have got a Starport out, is a really, really good move to make, because it means you are going to be able to do that little harassment on the Overlords, pick off a few, and you never know, just irritate the Zerg player. And Zerg players don't like being irritated. No player likes being irritated. It might not be a huge loss, or even supply block them for long, but it will be irritating. And the lair only just now going down for LiquidSheth is getting the +1 melee attack, but I mean, all of his units are quite out of position here. They're coming down here in order to take out the rocks. They're a long way away, so these Hellions could do a lot of damage. Blue Flame is also down as well now. I've lost this medevac. It is just coming in there now. There's also a little push going in, and these Hellions down there will draw all of the units of LiquidSheth across, and obviously Blue Flame Hellions incredibly effective against workers. We're going to see all of these workers get taken out relatively quickly. Good surround by the workers though onto the Blue Flame Hellions, but a lot of them getting torched, and obviously you don't want to be losing too many Roaches, and a great pickup by the medevac, only losing 1 Hellion there, but doing a lot of damage to workers. There's 14 workers killed for GoSuSonKiE. And Soki, what am I on about? GoSuSonKiE. And he has got siege mode out now, along with the 2 tanks. If we take the 3rd command center is on its way. That tank about to destroy those rocks, and the rocks are now down. We have got some more Hellions coming out, a lot of tanks coming out, another tech lab on the way, and a reactor for the starport. So we'll see probably some more Vikings coming out, or again, it could be medevacs, but that would only be really useful for drop play because he's got no infantry in order to heal. And the 3rd base now only just finishing up for Sheth, and that's very, very late to have a 3rd base. He has got his Spire on the way, but obviously, because the armory is just finishing up now, has finished up for SonKiE, he will be able to get Thors out, and obviously the Thors will counter the Mutalisks very, very hard, but this Overseer is going to be able to see absolutely everything. The missile turrets are also up as well, so Mutalisks aren't going to be effective at all at this point in the game, and the Overseer is down. Now, this is going to put Sheth in a very difficult position. He is going Roaches with 2-1, so that's going to be very, very strong, and I mean, that's what you need. Actually, yeah, 2-1, 2-2, actually. No, 2-1. Yeah, 2-1 will be on its way down for Sheth, and that'll obviously be very, very helpful in dealing with the mech play because you need the Roaches. Surprisingly, he's got Baneling Nest as well, which never does any harm, but again, not fantastic. Although, actually, from the looks of this, he's getting Ventricle Sacks and also the Overlord Speed. these Zerglings just checking for a third base from ZvT, which isn't out yet, but obviously is built and converted to an orbital. We are seeing these Hellions still provide a bit of problems. A fourth base for Sheth as well on its way, so Sheth's got great creep spread as well, got Queen purely creep spreading, and that's really going to be helpful in defending all of this. And, I mean, obviously Overlord, drop tech being in there, as well as Banelings, we could see some Bane Rain, and obviously Bane Rain is very effective. Now, Baneling Speed also coming out as well, so again, it's a good position to be in. Now, the only downside to mech in this army, on this map rather, is that it is an incredibly long way to move, and a mech army is not mobile in the slightest. So if he were to move out before he's got that 200 of 200 army, there would just be no way for him to defend. He just physically couldn't get back in time after starting to push. He gets to here, and all he needs is some Zerglings to run in, and he's got an issue. But if we take a look here, we have got a lot of roaches just scouting around to see what's going on. The fourth base is up for Sheth now, but ZvT is going to get the scan off. No fifth or sixth gas being taken. Fifth and sixth gas being taken down here, not at the third base. A lot of drones there. And again, it's a bit of an interesting setup. The infestation pit is on its way. We have got a lot of units moving, and we are getting a load up of roaches. So we're going to have a roach drop into the main base of ZvT, and that could be pretty effective actually, because as I said, even over this short distance, the mech army takes a long time to move anywhere at all. And now what would be very effective is if Sheth positioned some overlords, some Zerglings here to counterattack while he pushes into main. But there's two sensor towers out now, and actually this mech army is going to move out, and he may be able to intercept those overlords. And obviously Thors aren't great against overlords, but they might be able to snipe one, and if they did, that'd be quite a big loss. But it also means the mech army is very, very out of position. No, all of those overlords are going to be able to make their way in. A fake drop going in as well, and I mean, that fake drop is very, very useful in order to just try and force ZvT to split up his units. Some roaches already being dropped in here, some Zerglings as well, but they will get pulled out. But we've got a drop of roaches coming in here, and that's going to go straight to the main base. Meanwhile, the front is also going to be sieged up for ZvT, so this push into the front by Sheth isn't going to do too much. The contamination is going down, and again, not going to do very much at that point. And the roaches are doing a lot of damage to the mineral line of ZvT here, and things are going on at pretty much every base. Still some roaches down here haven't been cleaned up, and they're going to get some more snipes off. There's really just a mass destruction of SCVs in the main base. The Thors are going to be able to deal with it. Obviously nothing here. The Thors are dealing up with those observers there. No burrow off on the roaches, or there might be actually. There's a burrow on the roaches which forced the scan, which again a good move. And Sheth very, very effectively taking a sixth base up here. Yeah, fifth and sixth base at opposite sides of the map, and that's exactly how he should be dealing with this mech army. The mech army is slow. It can't get anywhere it wants to anywhere soon, and that means by spreading out all of his bases, that if ZvT does decide to come and pressure this base, well, he's out of position for attacking this base. And likewise, if he attacks either, he's very out of position for a counter attack, such as this one, which has come in here. Those tanks are sieged up though, and I mean, the tanks are going to do absolutely huge damage. Is going to get those tanks sniped pretty quickly, and ZvT not actually sieging up yet, and it doesn't really matter. Got the roaches in a bit of a choke, and that was quite a big loss for Sheth there. He has done incredible damage to the mineral line. 58 SCVs killed by Sheth to 42 drones killed by ZvT. So if we actually take a look at the unit counting tab, it's still 80 drones to 32. So Sheth in a very, very economic advantage here, and a lot of roaches being dropped into the base. Some Zerglings as well will force the lift, and obviously Hellions are going to be coming in now. And the real worry for ZvT at the moment is he's got this great army, but he can't move out because Sheth is using mobility fantastically, just dropping his units everywhere, anywhere, and just making sure that the SCV numbers never get up high enough to really allow mass production. And meanwhile, just taking bases everywhere and anywhere he can. He has got some roaches up here now, and keeping them around is good. His Greater Spire is about half done, getting a lot of Corruptors out, so we will see Broodlords soon. And really, the Broodlord army is what you need to deal with all of this push. And we've got all of the Overlords moving out now, some Hellions moving around, just kind of getting a scout off, just seeing what's going on. Obviously, this mass tank Thor army, very, very heavily favouring tanks actually over Thors. So the Thor's really there just to counter any Mutalisks which come in. But an awful lot of tanks, but obviously all of those tanks are only so good when Broodlords come out, because obviously there's nothing to really deal with the Broodlords. And we have got a counter-attack coming in here. There are some tanks left sieged up, and that's a wise move. There's tanks at the third base as well, so those roaches and zerglings aren't going to be able to do anything. But meanwhile, we've got these tanks moving in, and they are going to be able to get the siege up and take out this base very, very, very easily. That base will fall in literally seconds, but 7 Broodlords, 8 Broodlords on the way for Sheth. And to be honest, it doesn't matter too much. Doing a great job burrowing his drones. That's very, very effective, but a scan does go off, so all of the drones will die now. The top base has also been picked off by a Viking, it appears, or a drop of some form, but he has still got this 4th base down here. Meanwhile, this 3rd base for Sheth is going to be targeted. He is getting the scout off, and I mean, that Broodlord is going to be able to stay up, because obviously Thors are very, very bad against Broodlords. Tanks can't shoot up either. So once those 2 Thors are down, all of that tank army is going to die, and ZvT is not in a good position here. He can't siege up because the tanks obviously will splash themselves with the zerglings, trying to micro them back to use the blue flame of the Hellions, but the zerglings are just getting a beautiful surround here, and all of those tanks going down, and this is not a good position for ZvT here. He's taken huge damage, he's lost all of his army, and he can't rebuild that army quickly. And all in exchange really for 1 base. 2 bases if you count this one going down to the Vikings, but either way, ZvT's in not a great position here. His army's very, very small. Admittedly only 10 food behind that of Sheth's, but obviously he hasn't got many Thors out, and he has got some Vikings, but not enough really to deal with this. So if we go to the unit counting tab, he's only got 4 Vikings. Meanwhile, Sheth has got a lot of Broodlords. Again, at the unit counting tab, 9 Broodlords. Will take a long time to kill by only 4 Vikings. So Vikings are being mass produced now to try and deal with the Broodlords, and that's really what ZvT needs to do in order to stay in this game at this point. He has got his 4th base up, and I mean, it's Planetary Fortress, so we'll be safe from any lingering buys. And actually, this is great management by ZvT here. He's just making sure that no sort of extra bases can go up. This base will go down pretty damn quickly to the tanks and Hellions. Scan going off, so all of those drones will get killed, but obviously they are spread out, so they won't take splash from the blue flame Hellions, but all of them will die. And this is great position here. The tanks sieging up will force a cancel on this hatch as well. And Sheth doesn't really have much he can do, because whereas before he had a very, very mobile army, once you've got Broodlords into the mix, your army mobility goes down massively, but he is going to be able to take out pretty much all of these tanks, and those tanks won't be able to get away in time. But there are Vikings there, but a lot of Corruptors as well, so the Corruptors will start focus firing down the Vikings. I mean, a couple of Broodlords may go down. One's going to go down pretty quickly. 2 will probably get taken out as well, but after that there's going to be very little. All of the tanks will get killed. The hatch does get sniped down here by ZvT, and LiquidSheth is now behind in the food count, but likewise all of ZvT's army is going to get completely destroyed by this Broodlord force, and a great transfuse off on the Broodlord there, just to make sure that it's got maximum life and maximum staying power. This 4th base is really key to ZvT's entire plan from now on. As long as he keeps this, he's still in the game, because he's forced Sheth back down to 1 base. He's picked off so many drones. I've actually missed this Hellion harassment here during the main fight of the Broodlords against those tanks, but these Hellions alone have done a lot of damage. They were dropped in, so if we take a look at the units, 130 workers killed by ZvT. That is insane. That's really, really crazy. And if we take a look, only 14 drones remaining for Sheth. He's mined out his main base, natural base, so all of his mining is coming from his 3rd. Whereas obviously ZvT does have this 4th base here, 3rd base there. He has still got 2.5 mining bases. And ZvT just picking off some overlords as he can with the Vikings, but these Broodlords are going to be moving in now. If we take a look at the unit tab, there are 11 Vikings out for ZvT here, so those Broodlords aren't going to be a problem. And obviously, if Sheth does lose those Broodlords, then he's in a lot of problems here. He knows there's no other units there, and here comes the Vikings. And I mean, the Vikings should focus fire onto those Corruptors. There's a lot more Vikings than Corruptors, so the Corruptors will go down, and that means that once they do die, those Broodlords are going to die themselves. The Planetary Fortress is trying to get repaired. It looks like it's going to stay up actually, and the Broodlords are all going to go down, and this is terrible for Sheth. He's going to pretty much lose the game at this point unless he pulls something out of the bag. And there we go. The good game is there, and that was really just because of the Broodlords dying. That's all Sheth had really left going for him. And contrary to the previous game, which was between Sheth and... who was it between? The ZvP game of Sheth. I do apologise, I can't remember it. I will make a note to basically link it in the annotation of this match, but so a link to it. But really, as I said in that game, end game of any match in StarCraft 2 is all about expansion management. Sheth took loads of expansions. He took loads of expansions in good positions. He prevented this third base of SonKiE going down for a long time, and also just kept dropping around, used the mobility of his army to deal with the immobility of SonKiE's mech army. However, SonKiE responded by dropping everywhere, just very systematically and logically taking out the expansion up here, the expansion down here, and also this fourth base for Sheth. And that basically meant that Sheth mined himself out. So while Sheth did look to be in a dominant position for a lot of this match, SonKiE's really methodic, logical play allowed him to basically win in the end just through expansion management. And I mean, that was a fantastic game. Both players absolutely top of their game. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, click subscribe, check out my other videos, and any comments, feel free to give them. If you've got any games you want me to cast, any fantastic games or anything like that, email them through to sc2england@hotmail.co.uk and I will try and get them up for you. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again soon.